Shalom, and welcome to Parsha Highlights and Insights. This is Rabbi Fischer. This week's Parsha is Shelach, Shelach Lecha. It is a turning point in the book of Bamidbar, as well as in the history of Am Yisrael. The Parasha itself, we might say, is divided into 5 parts. The first part, being the longest part, dealing with the incident of the Meraglim, or as might more accurately be rendered as the scouts or the explorers. I will explain that a little bit later on. Hashem tells Moshe, send 12 scouts to explore the land of Israel, one from each tribe. Each one is to be a prominent person. And Moshe gives them their instructions. They're to explore the entire land from one end to the other, and also bring back a report. They're to bring back a report about the kind of people, the type of settlements, what is the nature of the land, and also bring back examples of the fruits of the land. And so they begin their expedition. They begin in the south, in the Negev, and go to Nachal Eshkol. Along the way, they pass by Hebron, and there are giants there. And ultimately, they cut a branch of a grapevine with a large cluster of grapes that needs to be carried by multiple men. And they also bring back examples of pomegranate and figs. And they are gone for 40 days, beginning around the time of the first fruit of the grapes. When they come back, they bring back a report. 10 of the scouts, indeed all of them, agree that it is a land flowing with milk and honey, and they present the example of the fruits. However, 10 of the scouts say that the people there are fierce, there are giants, Amalek lives there are Canaanites, and the conclusion is we cannot possibly succeed in conquering the people. Yehoshua encourages the people, reminds them that Hashem has taken care of them before, and they will be able to enter the land. But the people pay no attention to this. They cry, they complain, and they say that old refrain, let us return to Egypt. This is very, very disastrous. The leaders try to prevent a catastrophe. Moshe and Aharon fall to their faces, presumably asking Hashem for help. Yehoshua and Kalev, the two scouts that do not fall in with the other 10, they mourn and they remind everyone, do not rebel against Hashem because this could be disastrous. The people are unaffected. They want to stone Yehoshua and Kalev, and Hashem is very angry and says that I want to destroy the people and just start all over again. And Moshe prays not to do this, but rather to spare them. The punishment is that they will not be, although they will not be destroyed, this generation, the generation that came out of Egypt, will not enter the land of Israel. They're clearly not ready for it. And because the scouts were in the land for 40 days, they will remain in the wilderness for 40 years, 1 year for every day. The exception, of course, will be Yehoshua and Kalev. They followed their mission properly. They will enter the land of Israel. So for 40 years, they're going to remain in the wilderness, during which time an entire generation will die out and a new generation will be born, which should be ready and properly prepared for entry into the land. But at this point, Hashem gives the instruction to turn back into the wilderness, and Hashem is going to guide them in the rest of their journeys. The 10 scouts who spoke against the land of Israel are struck down in a plague. All of this does not stop the people of Israel, who are still being very stubborn, and they're a group of people who are defiant. They say, we will go up to the land. We were wrong. We've sinned, but it's too late. The decree has already been made, and Moshe says, Hashem is not with you. Do not try to storm the land of Israel. And they tried to do so, but Amalek and Canaan drive them back. And that is the end of the first section of the parasha that deals with the scouts and the aftermath. The rest of the parasha starts with certain mitzvot. And it's interesting that the mitzvot that are placed here are mitzvot that specifically will only take effect in the land of Israel. We're talking about certain grain offerings and libations and the taking of challah. And the message seems to be that although it has been decreed that this generation will not go in to the land, but it's important to maintain the hope and the expectation that their children will go into the land. God has not completely abandoned his people. We're also taught about certain types of chatat offerings, sin offerings, that bring atonement. One type is a chatat offering for idolatry that is committed through ignorance. But we're reminded, of course, that a sin that is committed intentionally is to be punished. We have another incident in the parasha. This is now the fourth part of the parasha. It says that that it was discovered that someone was gathering wood on Shabbat, and this is in violation of Shabbat. This is when they were in the wilderness. This person is placed in jail pending the sentence. Exactly what is the form of execution? It is known that someone who violates Shabbat knowingly with witnesses, with warning, is to be executed, but Hashem gives the instruction that he is to be stoned, and that is what happens. In the very, very last part of the parasha, we have the mitzvah of tzitzit. Indeed, this whole last section, the last few verses of the parasha, is read as part of the Shema. It's the third paragraph of Shema that talks about the mitzvah of tzitzit, to put a, let's call it a fringe, on the four corners of the garment. There's also to be a blue thread, and this wearing of tzitzit will remind us of all of the mitzvot. And Hashem concludes by saying, I took you out of the land of Egypt to be your God. I am Ani Hashem Elokechem, I am your God. And this reminds us that why Hashem did take us out of Egypt, in order to fulfill the mitzvot. But there's something else that connects the end of the parasha with the story of the scouts. It says that the purpose of the tzitzit is to remind us of the mitzvot, so that we do not wander, we do not explore using our heart and our eyes in order to do sins. Now, the word that's used for explore, investigate, is exactly the same word that is used throughout the story of the scouts, the explorers, to describe what they are supposed to do. And so, when Moshe gives the instructions, he says, well, Hashem says at first, to send people viyaturu. So the verb that's used to refer to the scouting, the exploring, is tur, and that's the same verb that is used with regard to tzitzit, that the tzitzit remind us not to tur, meaning not to explore various ways to sin. So you can have different kinds of tur. Now, the Malbim examines this word in great detail, and he points out that even though it is customary to refer to these 12 as miraglim, spies, they're not called that, and that's certainly not their mission. What they're sent to do is not leragel, to spy, but rather latur, to scout and explore. And he says that there's a fundamental difference between these two different kinds of people who enter ahead of the rest of the people. We should remember that before the Am Yisrael did enter the land of Israel, and were getting ready to make military attacks, they did send miraglim, spies, famously before the attack on Yericho, which we have in the book of Yehoshua. But the Malbim says that there is a difference between these two. One kind of spy is a tar, which more accurately should be described as a scout or an explorer, and that is such a person is sent when the nation is seeking a place to settle, have an idea as to what kind of place it is for settlement. On the other hand, maragel is a spy, espionage, whose purpose is to find the weak points of the land for attack and conquest. So the purpose of the tarim, as in the 12, is to seek out what's the best place to settle, whereas Meraglim is preparing for military conquest. The Tar looks for the good points. The Meragel looks for the weak spots. That is one of the fundamental differences between these two. Another difference the Malbim points out is that Tarim are sent by the entire people. They're there to explore the kind of land that people will be settling in, and therefore the ones that are sending them is the people. Meraglim, spies, are not sent by the people; they're sent by the military experts, by the general. And the information that the Meraglim bring back is not for everybody; it's specifically for the upper echelons of the military. Another point that the Malbim makes is that when you're sending explorers, then you send multiple. That would explain why there is one for every one of the tribes. Each tribe has its own personal needs in terms of settlement, and therefore you send multiple agents. Meraglim, you don't send 12 spies if the purpose is espionage. You send one or maybe two on behalf of the entire nation, on behalf of the generals, because once again, the purpose of the Meraglim is espionage, and you don't want to call attention to that. So if you remember, when Yehoshua sends spies to see how Yericho is fortified and so on, he only sends two, and he doesn't send them by name. Their names are never mentioned. Whereas the 12 that are sent by Moshe as explorers, there are 12 of them, one from each tribe, and they are named. Tarim are prominent people, leaders who are sent publicly by the people. Meraglim are anonymous. They are people who could blend in and not be noticed. So the Malbim adds, if we compare the story here with the way Moshe retells it at the beginning of Devarim, it's clear that Moshe thought it was appropriate to send Miraglim, spies, because the land of Israel is going to be conquered through natural means, and therefore espionage is necessary. He wanted to send Meraglim. He didn't want to send scouts. Hashem corrected him and says, you don't need to send Meraglim for espionage purposes, because the initial conquest of the land is going to be miraculous. But if you want to send anyone, specifically send Tarim, send explorers to give the people a sense of what the land is going to be like. We might add, not in the name of the Malbim, but it seems reasonable to add that they were sent as Tarim, but 10 of them they were sent as Tarim in order to describe the good points about the land, the advantages of the land. but 10 of them came back as meraglim, talking about the weak spots, the negative spots of the land. And so that also shows the connection between the story of the scouts and the end of the parasha, where we are reminded that our eyes and our heart are explorers, but they should not be exploring anything negative. Instead, they should be looking for opportunities to fulfill Hashem's will. I thank you for joining me in this exploration of Parashat Shelach Lecha. This has been Rabbi Avraham Fischer for Parsha Highlights and Insights, saying Shalom.